In a quiet little town surrounded by lush green hills, there lived a young boy named Arjun. He was an ordinary child with big dreams and endless curiosity about the world around him. Every morning he would wake up to the sound of birds chirping outside his window and the soft rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. His days were filled with simple joys, playing cricket with his friends, helping his mother in their small kitchen garden, or sitting under the shade of the ancient banyan tree near the village pond. Arjun's favorite place in the entire town was the old library at the edge of the main road. It wasn't much to look at from the outside. Its walls were faded, and the wooden door creaked loudly whenever someone opened it, but inside it held treasures beyond imagination. Rows upon rows of dusty books lined the shelves, each one telling its own unique story. The librarian, Mrs. Kapoor, was a kind elderly woman who always greeted Arjun with a warm smile. She knew how much he loved reading and often recommended new books for him to explore. One sunny afternoon, as Arjun wandered through the aisles of the library, something unusual caught his eye. Tucked away in a corner on the highest shelf was a book unlike any other. Its cover shimmered faintly, even though no sunlight reached that part of the room. Intrigued, Arjun stretched onto his tiptoes and carefully pulled the book down. As soon as his fingers touched it, a strange sensation ran through his body, a mix of excitement and anticipation. Like he had stumbled upon something magical. The title of the book was written in golden letters, Secrets of the Forgotten Valley. Opening the first page, Arjun found a map tucked neatly between the pages. It showed winding rivers towering mountains, and a mysterious valley marked with a red X beneath the map was a note that read, "To those brave enough to seek, this path will lead you to wonders untold." Arjun's heart raced. Was this some kind of adventure waiting just for him? He couldn't wait to share his discovery with his best friend Ravi. Together they spent hours poring over the map, tracing the routes and imagining what secrets lay hidden in the forgotten valley. They decided right then and there that they would set out on an expedition during the upcoming school break. As the days passed, excitement buzzed through the air. Arjun and Ravi gathered supplies, water bottles, snacks, notebooks, and a compass, and made plans for their journey. Their families thought they were simply going on a long hike, unaware of the true purpose behind their trip. Early one morning, before anyone else in the village was awake, the two boys slipped out of their homes and began following the directions on the map. Their journey took them far beyond the boundaries of their familiar surroundings. They crossed fields dotted with wildflowers, climbed steep trails where the wind whispered secrets, and waded through streams whose waters sparkled like diamonds under the sun. Along the way, they encountered challenges, a sudden rainstorm that soaked them to the bone, a tricky rock climb that tested their courage, and moments when doubt crept into their minds. But every time they felt like giving up, they reminded themselves of the promise of discovery ahead. Finally, after 3 days of travel, they arrived at the spot marked by the red X on the map. What they found there left them speechless. Nestled between two towering cliffs was a valley so beautiful it seemed almost unreal. Wildflowers of every color carpeted the ground, and a crystal-clear stream meandered lazily through the landscape. In the center of the valley stood an ancient stone temple, half hidden by vines and moss. Carved into its walls were intricate patterns and symbols that neither Arjun nor Ravi could decipher. Stepping closer, they noticed a small pedestal inside the temple holding a glowing orb. It pulsed gently, casting a soft light over everything around it. Without hesitation, Arjun reached out and touched the orb. Instantly, images flooded his mind, pictures of stars forming constellations, oceans teeming with life, and people celebrating festivals across different lands. It was as if the orb contained the essence of the universe itself. When the vision faded, Arjun turned to Ravi, his eyes shining with wonder. "This is more than we ever imagined," he said softly. Both boys knew they had uncovered something extraordinary, something that connected them to the mysteries of the world in ways they couldn't fully understand, though their adventure had come to an end. Arjun and Ravi returned home forever changed. They carried with them not only memories of the forgotten valley, but also a deeper appreciation for the beauty and magic hidden in the simplest corners of life. And every time they passed by the old library, they couldn't help but smile, knowing that sometimes the greatest adventures begin with just a single step into the unknown. The mysterious orb from the Forgotten Valley had changed everything for Arjun and Ravi, but they soon realized that their discovery was far from ordinary. The glowing artifact seemed to hum softly whenever they held it close, as if it were alive and trying to communicate with them. At first, they thought it was just their imagination playing tricks on them, but the strange occurrences began to pile up, objects moving on their own, whispers in languages they didn't understand, and vivid dreams of places they'd never seen before. Word of their find eventually reached Mrs. Kapoor, the kind librarian who had watched Arjun grow up surrounded by books. She listened intently as the boys recounted their adventure, her eyes widening with a mix of awe and concern. "This is no ordinary object," she said finally, her voice trembling slightly. "There are stories, old ones, that speak of such artifacts. They're said to be keys to forgotten realms, bridges between worlds." Her words sent shivers down their spines, but curiosity burned stronger than fear. Determined to uncover the truth, Arjun and Ravi decided to investigate further. Armed with the map, the orb, and a notebook filled with notes from Mrs. Kapoor's library, they set out once again. This time, however, they weren't alone. A group of villagers, intrigued by the boy's tale, joined them. Among them was Priya, a clever girl Arjun's age who loved solving puzzles. Almost as much as he loved reading, their journey took them deeper into the wilderness, where the air grew cooler and the trees stretched taller toward the sky. As they ventured farther from home, the orb began reacting more strongly. Its glow intensified, pulsing in rhythm with their footsteps. One night, while camping under a canopy of stars, the orb suddenly floated out of Arjun's hands and hovered above the ground. Everyone froze, watching in stunned silence as it projected a swirling image into the air. Map unlike anything they'd ever seen, the map depicted not just the valley, but an entire network of hidden paths and locations scattered across the region. Each location was marked with symbols similar to those carved into the temple walls. "It's showing us where to go next," Priya whispered, her sharp eyes scanning the projection. "But why? What does it want?" No one had an answer, but the group agreed to follow the map's guidance. Over the next few days, they traveled to each marked site, discovering remnants of ancient structures buried beneath layers of earth and vegetation. Some were crumbling ruins, while others appeared eerily intact, as though frozen in time. In every place they found fragments of knowledge carvings, inscriptions, and artifacts that hinted at a civilization far older and wiser than anything recorded in history books. As they pieced together these clues, a pattern emerged. The orb wasn't just a key. It was a guide meant to lead them to something greater, but what exactly remained unclear. Tensions rose within the group as fatigue set in and doubts crept in. Was this all worth it? Were they meddling with forces beyond their understanding? The turning point came when they reached the final destination marked on the map, a cavern hidden deep within a mountain. Inside, the air was thick and heavy, carrying the faint scent of minerals and damp stone. At the heart of the cavern stood a massive door etched with intricate designs that matched the orb's patterns. When Arjun placed the orb against the door, it clicked into place, and the ground trembled as the door slowly creaked open. Beyond it lay a breathtaking sight, a vast chamber illuminated by bioluminescent crystals embedded in the walls. In the center of the room floated a colossal structure resembling a tree made entirely of light. Its branches stretched upward, connecting to the ceiling like roots binding two worlds together. Around the base of the tree were tablets inscribed with messages in countless languages, some recognizable, others completely alien. Priya stepped forward, her fingers tracing the edge of one tablet. "It's instructions?" she murmured, her voice filled with wonder. "Instructions for building something incredible." Arjun felt a surge of excitement mixed with apprehension. Whatever this was, it was clear that humanity had stumbled upon something monumental. Yet, as he looked around at his companions, He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being tested not by the orb or the ancient creators, but by themselves. Could they rise to the challenge? Or would fear and mistrust tear them apart? Back in the village, news of their discoveries spread like wildfire. People gathered to hear the travelers' tales, their faces alight with hope and wonder. For the first time in years, the community felt united, driven by a shared sense of purpose, but unknown to them, their actions had not gone unnoticed. Far away, in the depths of space, distant observers watched with keen interest. Humanity's ingenuity and resilience had sparked something unexpected, a ripple that would soon become a wave, changing the course of their world forever. The discovery of the glowing, tree-like structure in the cavern ignited a fire within the villagers. What had started as a simple adventure for Arjun and Ravi had grown into something much larger, a mission that now involved everyone. The instructions etched on the tablets were complex, written in languages both ancient and alien. But Priya's sharp mind and the collective effort of the group began to unravel their meaning. Slowly, they pieced together what appeared to be plans for constructing a device machine unlike anything humanity had ever built. The villagers worked tirelessly, pooling their resources and skills to bring the design to life. Blacksmiths forged metal parts, carpenters crafted intricate wooden components, and even children helped by gathering materials from the surrounding forest. It was a community effort, driven not just by curiosity but by a shared hope that this mysterious device might unlock new possibilities for their small town and perhaps even the wider world. As days turned into weeks, however, challenges began. To mount, the instructions were incomplete in places, leaving gaps that required guesswork and experimentation. Mistakes were costly. Some attempts resulted in failures that set them back days. Doubts crept in among the villagers. Was this truly worth it? Could they really trust an artifact from an unknown civilization? And what if the device brought harm instead of progress? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the makeshift workshop, tensions reached a breaking point. A heated argument broke out between two groups of villagers. One side argued that they should abandon the project altogether, fearing the unknown consequences of activating the device. The other side insisted they press on, believing that giving up would mean squandering a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Arjun stood at the center of the chaos, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had been the one to find the orb, to lead them to the cavern, and to rally the village around the project. But now, faced with division and uncertainty, he wondered if he had made the right choices. Just as despair threatened to overwhelm him, Priya stepped forward, her calm voice cutting through the noise. "We've come too far to turn back now," she said firmly, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Yes, there are risks. But isn't that true of every great endeavor? Think about how far we've come already, how much we've learned about ourselves and each other. If we stop now, we'll never know what could have been." Her words struck a chord. The arguing voices quieted, replaced by murmurs of agreement. Slowly, the villagers returned to their tasks, determined to see the project through. Arjun felt a renewed sense of purpose, grateful for Priya's wisdom and leadership. Together, they pushed forward, filling in the gaps in the instructions. With educated guesses and creative problem-solving, their perseverance paid off when, after months of hard work, the device finally took shape. It was a towering construct, blending elements of art and engineering. Its base was sturdy and practical, while its upper sections spiraled upward like branches reaching for the sky. At its core rested the glowing orb, pulsing softly as if alive, and aware of its role in the creation. But before they could activate the device, another challenge arose, one that no one had anticipated. Late one night, strange lights appeared in the sky, hovering silently above the village. At first, the villagers thought it was a meteor shower or some natural phenomenon. But as the lights descended closer, revealing sleek, metallic shapes, it became clear that they were not alone. The visitors were humanoid but unmistakably alien, their skin shimmering like liquid silver and their eyes glowing faintly. They moved with grace and precision, exuding an aura of authority that left the villagers awestruck. Without speaking, the aliens approached the device, studying it with keen interest. Then one of them turned to the crowd and spoke in a melodic yet unfamiliar language. To everyone's astonishment, the orb translated the aliens' words into a voice that resonated in their minds. "You have tampered with forces beyond your understanding," the alien said, its tone neither hostile nor friendly. "This technology belongs to no mortal species. By building it, you risk destabilizing the balance of existence." Fear rippled through the crowd, but Arjun stepped forward, his heart pounding but his voice steady. "We didn't mean to cause harm," he replied. "We only wanted to learn, to grow." "Isn't that why you left this knowledge here for others to discover?" The alien regarded him silently for a moment, its expression unreadable. Finally it responded, "Perhaps. Or perhaps curiosity is a flaw shared by all sentient beings. We will observe. Prove yourselves worthy, or face the consequences." With that, the aliens vanished as suddenly as they had arrived, leaving the villagers staring at the darkened sky. The encounter left them shaken but more determined than ever. If the aliens saw humanity as reckless or unworthy, then it was up to them to prove otherwise. The device wasn't just a tool, it was a test, one that would require not just intelligence but courage, unity, and heart. That night, as the villagers gathered around the device, Arjun realized that the true challenge lay not in building it but in using it wisely. Whatever happened next, they would face it together, not as individuals, but as a community bound by trust and shared purpose. For the first time, humanity's potential felt limitless, even in the face of the unknown. The aliens' parting words echoed in Arjun's mind long after the shimmering lights had disappeared into the night sky. "Prove yourselves worthy or face the consequences." The weight of those words settled over the village like a heavy fog, casting doubt and fear among the people. But amidst the uncertainty, something remarkable began to take root: a quiet determination that burned brighter than ever before. For days, the villagers debated what to do next. Some argued that activating the device was too dangerous, especially with the aliens watching. Others believed it was their only chance to show that humanity could rise above its flaws. Priya, ever the voice of reason, reminded everyone why they had started this journey in the first place. "We didn't build this because we were reckless," she said during one heated meeting. "We did it because we wanted to understand, to connect with something greater than ourselves. If we stop now, we'll never know what we're capable of." Her words struck a chord, and slowly the tide began to turn. The villagers agreed to proceed, but cautiously. They decided to test the device on a small scale first, hoping to demonstrate their intentions without causing harm. Under Priya's guidance, they adjusted the machine's settings, ensuring it would emit only minimal energy. Then, with bated breath, they activated it for the first time. A low hum filled the air as the orb at the device's core began to glow brighter. Streams of light shot upward, intertwining like threads in a tapestry. The ground beneath their feet vibrated gently, and the atmosphere seemed charged with an electric energy. For a moment, nothing else happened. Then, the impossible occurred. Above the village, the sky split open, not violently, but gracefully, revealing a swirling portal filled with colors no human eye had ever seen. It was beautiful, awe-inspiring, and terrifying all at once. Through the portal, shapes moved, shadowy figures that seemed to watch them curiously. The villagers froze, unsure whether to feel wonder or dread. Suddenly, a voice boomed inside their heads, resonating with power yet devoid of malice. "You seek knowledge, yet you are unprepared for its burden. Why should we grant you access to realms beyond your comprehension?" Arjun stepped forward, his heart pounding but his resolve unwavering. "We may not be ready," he admitted, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him, "but we're willing to try. We've worked together, learned from our mistakes, and pushed past our fears. Isn't that what makes us worthy? That we keep going even when it's hard?" There was a long pause, during which the portal pulsed faintly, as if considering his words. Then the voice spoke again. "Your actions speak louder than your words. Show us proof of your unity, your ingenuity, and your compassion. Only then will we decide your fate." With that, the portal closed, leaving the villagers staring at the now empty sky. Though the encounter had been brief, it left them with a clear directive. They needed to prove themselves not just as individuals, but as a collective. Over the next few days, the villagers poured their efforts into preparing for whatever challenge lay ahead. They tested the device repeatedly, fine-tuning its mechanisms and studying its effects. Each trial brought new insights, strengthening their bond and sharpening their skills. Meanwhile, Arjun and Priya took the lead in addressing the emotional toll the situation was taking on the group. Exhaustion and anxiety were beginning to wear down even the most optimistic among them. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues across the fields, Arjun called everyone together for a meeting under the old banyan tree. "We've come so far," he began, looking around at the weary but determined faces, "but I know it hasn't been easy. None of us asked for this responsibility, but here we are. And I believe we can handle it not because we're perfect, but because we care about each other and about doing the right thing." Priya nodded, adding, "This isn't just about proving ourselves to the aliens. It's about proving it to ourselves. We've already shown that we can work together, solve problems, and support one another. Let's keep that spirit alive, no matter what happens next." Their words reignited a spark of hope within the group. The villagers redoubled their efforts, working late into the nights and supporting one another through every setback. Slowly but surely they transformed their fear into focus, channeling it into creativity and resilience. Then came the turning point, the moment that changed everything. During one final test run of the device, something unexpected happened. Instead of simply generating light and energy, the machine began projecting vivid images into the air. Scenes of distant planets, advanced civilizations, and breathtaking landscapes unfolded before their eyes. It was as if the universe itself was offering them a glimpse of its wonders, but the most striking image was of Earth not as it was now, but as it could be. Lush forests stretched endlessly, cities gleamed with sustainable technology, and people thrived in harmony with nature. Tears welled up in many eyes as they realized what they were seeing, a vision of humanity's potential, a future shaped by cooperation, innovation, and care. The aliens reappeared that night, drawn by the surge of energy from the device. This time, however, their demeanor had shifted. Gone was the cold detachment. Instead, there was a hint of curiosity and respect. One of them approached Arjun and placed a hand on the device, causing it to glow softly. "You have shown courage and unity," the alien said, its melodic voice carrying a note of approval. "Perhaps your kind is capable of more than we assumed, but remember, knowledge comes with responsibility. Use this wisely." As the aliens departed once again, leaving the villagers alone with their thoughts, Arjun felt a profound sense of clarity. The challenges they faced were far from over, but they had taken the first step toward proving humanity's worth. Together, they had tapped into something extraordinary, not just the device, but the strength found in unity and shared purpose. That night, as the villagers gathered around the glowing orb, they knew they had crossed a threshold. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it not as isolated individuals, but as a community bound by trust, hope, and the belief that humanity could achieve greatness when it dared to dream. The aliens' parting words lingered in the air, heavier than the humid night breeze that swept through the village. Knowledge comes with responsibility. It was a warning, but also an acknowledgement, a sign that humanity's efforts were beginning to resonate even with beings who had once dismissed them as insignificant. For Arjun and the villagers, it marked a pivotal moment. They had earned a sliver of respect from the cosmos, but the stakes had never been higher. As dawn broke over the hills, the villagers gathered around the glowing device, its light pulsing softly like a heartbeat. The visions it had projected, the lush forests, gleaming cities, and harmonious societies had ignited something deep within them. Hope mingled with determination, but so did fear. What if they failed? What if their actions brought ruin instead of progress? These questions hung unspoken, yet everyone felt their weight. Priya took charge, her sharp mind already piecing together what needed to be done next. "We've seen what's possible," she said, addressing the crowd. "But those images weren't just for show. They're a blueprint, a challenge. If we want to prove ourselves, we have to act, not just dream." Her words sparked action. The villagers divided into teams, each focusing on different aspects of the task ahead. Some worked on refining the device, ensuring it could sustain prolonged use without destabilizing. Others began documenting everything they had learned, creating detailed records that could guide future generations. Meanwhile, Arjun led a group tasked with preparing for another encounter with the aliens. He knew that while the visitors had shown curiosity, they remained cautious, and rightly so. Humanity's track record wasn't perfect, and earning their trust fully would require more than clever engineering or heartfelt speeches. Tensions rose as the days passed. Supplies dwindled, tempers flared, and exhaustion became a constant companion. Yet, amidst the strain, moments of unity shone brightly. When one team struggled to calibrate the device's energy output, another stepped in to help, sharing ideas and resources. An elderly farmer donated his tools to craft delicate components, while children helped by gathering rare herbs believed to stabilize the orb's glow. Every act, no matter how small, reinforced the sense that they were stronger. Together. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, disaster struck. A sudden surge of energy erupted from the device, sending shockwaves through the village. The ground trembled, and sparks flew as circuits overloaded. Panic spread quickly, but Priya's voice cut through the chaos. "Stay calm. Focus on stabilizing the core." Arjun rushed to the device, his hands trembling as he adjusted the controls. With Priya guiding him and others working frantically to contain the energy surge, they managed to bring the machine back under control, but the incident left them shaken. Had they pushed too far? Was this a sign that they weren't ready? That night, under the flickering light of lanterns, the villagers held a somber meeting. Many voiced doubts, wondering if they should abandon the project altogether. "Maybe the aliens were right," muttered an elder. "Maybe we're not ready for this kind of power." Arjun listened silently, his chest tight with conflicting emotions. Finally he stood up, his face pale but resolute. "If we quit now, we'll always wonder what could have been," he said quietly. "Yes, we made a mistake tonight, but mistakes are how we learn. Look at everything we've achieved so far. We didn't give up when things got hard before, and we can't start now." His words reignited a spark of resolve. Slowly, the murmurs of doubt faded, replaced by nods of agreement. They decided to take a day to rest and regroup, allowing themselves time to recover before continuing their work. During that brief pause, Arjun found himself sitting alone beneath the banyan tree, staring at the stars. He thought about the aliens, their piercing eyes, and their cryptic warnings. Were they truly judging humanity, or testing it? And if it was a test, what exactly were they looking for? The answer came unexpectedly the following morning. As the villagers resumed their tasks, a strange phenomenon occurred. The orb began emitting a soft melody, unlike anything they had heard before. It wasn't random noise. It was structured almost like a song. Priya recognized it immediately. "It's communicating," she exclaimed. "The orb is trying to teach us something." Working together, they deciphered the melody, realizing it corresponded to patterns etched onto the tablets from the cavern. Each note aligned with a symbol, forming a sequence that seemed to activate a hidden function within the device. When they followed the instructions, the machine hummed to life, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy into the air. Among the countless stars, one glowed brighter than the rest, a planet located near the edge of known space. The message accompanying the map was clear: "This is your proving ground." Excitement rippled through the crowd, tempered by the realization of what lay ahead. Traveling to another planet was no small feat, especially for a community with limited resources. Yet there was no question of turning back. This was their chance to demonstrate humanity's potential, to show that they were capable of growth. Cooperation and wisdom preparations began immediately. Using the knowledge gained from the device, they constructed a rudimentary spacecraft. Powered by the orb's energy. It wasn't sleek or advanced by alien standards, but it was functional, a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance. Volunteers stepped forward to join the mission, knowing full well the risks involved. In the end, Arjun, Priya, and a small crew were chosen to represent humanity on this historic journey. As the launch date approached, the entire village came together to bid them farewell. There were tears, hugs, and whispered prayers, but also laughter and songs of hope. The villagers understood that this mission wasn't just about the travelers, it was about all of them. Success or failure, their collective effort had already changed the course of their lives forever. On the morning of the launch, as the spacecraft ascended into the sky, leaving trails of golden light behind, the villagers watched with bated breath. The pressure was immense, the stakes astronomical. But one thing was certain. Humanity had taken its first step toward the stars, driven not by fear or greed, but by the belief that they could rise to meet any challenge as long as they stood. United. In the vast expanse of space, the aliens observed silently, their expressions unreadable. Whether humanity would succeed or falter remained to be seen. But for the first time, they allowed themselves to consider the possibility that perhaps these fragile beings were capable of greatness after all. The journey to the distant planet was unlike anything Arjun, Priya, and their crew had ever experienced. The spacecraft, powered by the glowing orb, hummed softly as it cut through the vast emptiness of space. Outside the windows, stars streaked past like silver threads in an endless tapestry, while inside, the air buzzed with a mix of excitement and nervous energy. For days, they floated in silence, each member of the crew lost in their own thoughts, wondering what awaited them at their destination. As they approached the glowing planet marked on the holographic map, the spacecraft systems began to react. Strangely, the orb pulsed brighter, its light filling the cabin with an almost otherworldly glow. Suddenly, a voice not alien this time, but eerily familiar resonated in their minds. It was calm yet commanding, speaking directly to their hearts rather than their ears. "You have arrived. Prove your worth." The ship descended gently onto the surface of the planet, landing in a clearing surrounded by towering crystalline trees that shimmered in hues of blue and gold. As the crew stepped out, they were struck by the beauty of the landscape. Rivers of liquid light flowed between the trees, and the air carried a faint melodic hum that seemed to resonate with the very core of their being. But there was no sign of life, no animals, no people, nothing to suggest who or what had summoned them here. Priya broke the silence first. "This place feels alive," she murmured, her eyes scanning the horizon. "Like it's watching." "U.S." Her words sent a shiver down everyone's spines, but Arjun nodded firmly. "Whatever happens, we stick together. Remember why we're here, to show them that humanity is more than its flaws?" Their first challenge came sooner than expected. As they ventured deeper into the forest of crystal trees, the ground beneath their feet began to shift. Panels of translucent material rose from the earth, forming intricate patterns that glowed faintly. Symbols appeared on the panels, shifting and rearranging themselves rapidly. It was clear this was a puzzle, one designed to test their intelligence and adaptability. Priya immediately got to work, her sharp mind analyzing the symbols and deciphering their meaning. The rest of the crew helped by recording observations, testing theories, and ensuring the orb remained stable. It seemed to be the key to unlocking the panels. Hours passed, and frustration mounted as mistakes led to flashes of blinding light and low rumbles that shook the ground. But just when it seemed like they might fail, Priya let out a triumphant cry. "I've got it!" she exclaimed, arranging the final set of symbols into place. The panels sank back into the ground, and the forest responded. A pathway opened before them, leading to a massive structure that resembled a temple made entirely of light. Inside, a pedestal awaited, glowing faintly where the orb was meant to rest. Without hesitation, Arjun placed the orb onto the pedestal. Instantly, the room filled with radiant energy, and a projection appeared, a simulation of Earth, showing both its beauty and its scars. The voice returned, echoing through the chamber. Your kind has caused destruction. Yet you also strive to heal. Which path will you choose? The question hung heavy in the air, forcing the crew to confront not just their mission, but the essence of humanity itself. They looked at one another, silently acknowledging the weight of the moment. Finally, Arjun stepped forward, his voice steady despite the knot of emotion in his throat. We've made mistakes, terrible ones, but we learn from them. We fight to make things better, even when it's hard. That's who we are, imperfect, yes, but determined to grow. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then the projection changed. Instead of Earth's flaws, they saw images of humanity's triumphs, communities coming together after disasters, scientists working tirelessly to solve global problems, artists creating beauty from pain, and ordinary people helping strangers simply because it was the right thing to do. The aliens reappeared then, stepping into the chamber with an aura of quiet authority. Their forms shimmered, and their eyes glowed faintly as they regarded the crew. One of them spoke, its voice carrying a tone of cautious approval. You have shown creativity, resilience, and empathy. These are qualities we value. Perhaps your kind is capable of change, but the trial wasn't over yet. The aliens gestured toward the orb, which now floated above the pedestal, radiating an intense light. The final test lies within the orb itself, they said. It holds knowledge beyond your understanding. To access it, you must face your deepest fears not as individuals, but as a collective. Without warning, the orb enveloped the crew. In a swirling vortex of light and sound, each of them found themselves standing alone in a desolate version of their hometown, ravaged by neglect and despair. Buildings lay in ruins, rivers ran dry, and the skies were dark with smoke. Worst of all, they saw reflections of themselves not as they were, but as they feared they might become: selfish, apathetic, unwilling to act. Arjun felt his chest tighten as he stared at the barren landscape. He wanted to turn away, to deny what he was seeing. But then he heard Priya's voice, faint but unwavering. "We can fix this," she called out. "Together." Her words acted as a beacon, drawing the others closer until they stood side by side once again. Slowly, the bleak vision began to transform. Green shoots sprouted from the cracked earth, rivers flowed with clean water, and the sky cleared to reveal a brilliant sun. The orb pulsed brightly, signaling that the test had been passed. The aliens watched silently as the crew emerged from the vortex, their faces etched with exhaustion but also triumph. "You have proven yourselves," one of them said finally, "not perfect but worthy. The knowledge within the orb is yours to wield, but remember, it comes with responsibility." As the aliens departed, leaving the crew alone in the luminous temple, Arjun felt a profound sense of clarity. Humanity wasn't defined by its failures or its fears, it was defined by its ability to rise above them. Together they had faced the ultimate test, and together they had succeeded. The orb dimmed slightly, settling into a steady glow. It was no longer just a relic of an ancient civilization. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest actions could shape the future. And as the crew prepared to return home, they knew one thing for certain: humanity's story was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. The journey back to Earth felt both shorter and longer than the voyage to the distant planet. Shorter because the crew now carried with them a sense of purpose that made every moment meaningful. Longer because their minds were filled with reflections on what they had experienced, the trials, the revelations, and the profound realization of humanity's potential. The orb, now glowing softly in its secure casing aboard the spacecraft, seemed almost alive, pulsing gently as if sharing in their quiet awe. When they finally re-entered Earth's atmosphere, the sight of their home planet brought tears to their eyes. From space it looked fragile yet breathtakingly beautiful, a swirling marble of blues, greens and whites cradled by the vastness of the cosmos. For Arjun, Priya, and the rest of the crew, it was no longer just a place they called home, it was a promise, a responsibility they had earned through courage and unity. The villagers greeted them like heroes when they landed, rushing to embrace them and marvel at the orb. Word of their success spread quickly. drawing people from neighboring towns who wanted to see the artifact that had connected humanity with the stars. But the crew didn't bask in the attention. Instead, they gathered, everyone under the old banyan tree where it all began. To share their story, Arjun spoke first, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. "We faced challenges none of us could have imagined," he said, looking out at the sea of familiar faces. "But we overcame them not because we're special, but because we worked together. The aliens showed us that humanity isn't defined by our mistakes or our fears. We're defined by how we rise above them." Priya took over, holding up the orb so everyone could see its gentle glow. "This isn't just a tool or a relic. It's a gift and a test. The knowledge inside it can help us heal our world, but only if we use it wisely. That's why we need all of you, not just us, to decide what happens next." Her words sparked a wave of discussion among the crowd. Ideas flowed freely, using the orb's energy to purify polluted rivers, developing sustainable technologies inspired by the alien designs, and even teaching future generations about the importance of cooperation and empathy. For the first time, the villagers felt not like passive observers of their fate, but active architects of their destiny. Over the following weeks, the community transformed, guided by the insights gained. From the orb, they implemented projects aimed at improving life for everyone. Farmers learned techniques to grow crops more efficiently. Engineers designed machines powered by renewable energy. And teachers incorporated lessons about unity and resilience into their curriculums. Slowly but surely, the village became a beacon of progress, a living testament to what humanity could achieve when it set aside divisions and worked toward a common goal. But the impact extended far beyond their small town. News of their achievements reached cities and nations, inspiring others to adopt similar practices. Scientists studied the orb's properties, unlocking secrets that led to breakthroughs in medicine, agriculture, and environmental restoration. Artists created works celebrating humanity's connection to the cosmos, while philosophers pondered the deeper implications of their encounter with the aliens. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light across the fields, Arjun found himself sitting beneath the banyan tree once again. Beside him sat Priya, her notebook open on her lap as she sketched diagrams of the orb's intricate patterns. Neither of them spoke for a long time, content to simply watch the sky darken and the first stars appear. Finally, Priya broke the silence. "Do you think we'll ever see them again?" she asked, glancing at the orb. Arjun smiled faintly. "Maybe, or maybe this is enough for now. They gave us a chance to prove ourselves, and we did. The rest is up to us." As if responding to his words, the orb pulsed softly, casting a warm glow around them. In that moment, Arjun understood something profound. The aliens hadn't come to judge humanity, they had come to remind them of their own strength. Humanity wasn't perfect, and it never would be. But perfection wasn't the point. The point was to keep striving, to keep learning, and to keep reaching for the stars. Years later, when historians wrote about this period, they referred to it as the awakening. It marked a turning point in human history, not because of technological advancements or political shifts, but because of a change in perspective. People began to see themselves not as separate entities competing for resources, but as part of a greater whole connected by shared dreams and responsibilities. Underneath the banyan tree, where it all began, the orb remained, a silent guardian of humanity's newfound purpose. And though the aliens never returned, their presence lingered in the hearts and minds of those who had dared to dream bigger than themselves. As Arjun gazed at the night sky, one last time before heading home, he whispered softly, almost to himself, "Humanity, heck yeah."